What's happening now in Lebanon? It's really beyond me. It's really appalling. Now we have another another front that has opened between Israel and its enemies, to call it that way. But the problem is that Lebanon is not a united country in that way. In that respect, they are not all enemies of Israel. So, but still, they have to endure hostilities, hostile military operations on their own ground, territory, whatever. And so far, already many hundreds of people, innocent civilians, have been killed as a result of these interventions. And the problem is Israelis always justify every military action as being for their own safety and security of their people, trying to secure, yeah, the safety of their people or citizens. But the thing is, how do you do that by killing so many innocent people, really? That's the question. I think it's really weird that after so many years of attacks against Hezbollah by a very powerful army and weapons of the Israeli, they still continue to operate, to exist. Isn't that a little strange? I find it strange. I also find it strange that Hamas would dare to do a thing like they did on October 7th. I find that very strange. Suddenly, all of a sudden, they do this terrible attack on the Israeli citizens, Jewish citizens. Let's be clear, they are all Israeli citizens, Palestinians and the Jews. So that's another hypocrisy about this. Yes, because the Palestinians aren't treated really as real citizens of Israel, but they are treated as a separate entity. And they have been treated as that for a long time now, ever since the foundation of the state of Israel in 1948, of course. They became suddenly overnight second class citizens. And you know what happened before that, actually, that was that everybody lived equal. Yes, everybody had equal rights in the state of Palestine, as it was called back then. And what I really didn't know before is that even the Jews back then called themselves the Palestinians, actually. Because, why? Because Israel is a name that has been really dug up from distant ancient past. So, it was an ideological thing to call the state Israel instead of Palestine. So, and of course, by doing that, people who founded this state gave a very clear message that this was meant to be first and foremost a state for the state for the Jews there, where the Jews could live in without being discriminated against or persecuted or whatever. And so, yeah, that's how it went. As for as for Lebanon, yeah, Lebanon was always a very interesting, let's put it, state as well, and because it was a protectorate, really, that was turned into a country, a state after the First World War, as far as I know. It was a French protectorate before it, and because I guess because of there was enough people of Christian faith, so not it wasn't an overwhelming Muslim majority there, so that's why I guess it became a separate state from Syria, which it had been a part of actually historically, yes. So you might say Lebanon, in that respect, is kind of similar to Israel, as it was formed as a state on certain political and religious grounds, and for those reasons, and not because it had been a state before, an independent kind of state. No, no, that's not the case. So, yeah, in ancient antiquity, this was all part of Assyrian kingdom, and as was a part of, I believe, Jordan, and maybe even part of Israel, and yeah, part of Iraq, and so yeah, there you have it, and that's why all these states were always kind of connected, in a way. Yes, but back to today. Yeah, I just wonder how much longer before, the Israeli military machine, the monster is satisfied and fed. Its appetite for killing is fed. So, yeah, I just wonder how much longer before somebody does really something to end this, to stop this merciless killing of civilians. And that's the most despicable thing, is that the USA, of course, backs it all. Everything that Israel does, they justify somehow. They always find a way to justify that. Yeah, they are really just looking to destroy the terrorists, or there's always the same bullshit. But if it were so, then why use airplanes? Why use heavy artillery instead of commandos, for instance? They have commandos, they are very well trained, they have the means to execute these attacks that would be far less damaging, that would take far less victims, and especially innocent victims. They have the means to do this. But instead they say, no, we cannot spare a single life of a commando, so we rather, play it safe, play it lazy, and just bomb the whole fucking, city or villages, whatever. That's a really despicable way of thinking, don't you think? So if they were really after just, securing the safety of their citizens, I believe they would have done this a different way, definitely. But no, that's not really their only goal. They also have a goal to just exterminate, eradicate as many of these people who don't like them. They don't like, and they don't, and who don't like them, and who have always been opposed to them and also fighting against their army. There, yeah. So by no means, I don't really think that any of these organizations such as Hamas or Hezbollah are good to put away. But I feel, yeah, of course not. They do also bad things. They have stood behind the murders of many innocent civilians in Israel of Jewish faith. But actually, you are supposed to be the better side here. Israel is supposed to be, that's how it's painted always by the West, or most of them anyway, by USA. But they do the same things, and even worse, you might say, to retaliate all the time, all the time. They do use the same kind of strategy or the same way of retaliating as the Nazis did in the Second World War. Like, you kill 10 of ours, we'll kill 20 of yours. And that's supposed to, give a message like, hey, don't mess with us. So, yeah, it's just this is not the Wild West, people anymore. This is not. This is 2024, so these methods should have been eradicated long ago already. But no, they just keep on doing this, and they will until somebody eventually stops them. But I don't see anybody doing that really. Who would dare to piss off their big brother United States? I don't know. So the problem is that people, those who could do something about it, don't really care. Don't care, and don't they have their own problems. And you know who that is. I guess I don't have to mention the names. But yeah, so this is just not acceptable at all, And when this attack happened last year in October, everybody was, well, many people were quick to express their support and sympathies for Israel, but now they have ruined all that. They have totally, turned from victims and people who fight terrorism into terrorists themselves or aggressors who kill innocent people by the hundreds, by the thousands, and so there's no justification, of course, none whatsoever. So this will not do simply, and that's pretty much what I have to say about that. Yes. I mean, Joe Biden kind of tried to play the good guy by, asking for Netanyahu to be arrested, but that didn't happen, of course. And now we'll see what happens, but I don't have many hopes because as I've understood already, also I gotta draw in my own case with my own first homeland, Bosnia. I learned that nobody cares really of these big, world powers, superpowers. Nobody really gives a shit. those who are in charge anyway. I mean, those who are in charge, they don't really care, and so that's why it was possible that so many people were killed also there, and now it's so yeah, that's the real truth. When when do these superpowers finally do something? It's usually when they find out they have something to gain from it, and when once the killing really has gone over to mon- monstrous dimensions, so but I believe it has already done that. So yeah, there's no telling how far this can go, man. It's but I didn't expect this. I didn't expect this. So yeah, we are seeing just new battlefields being opened, and in the Middle East. Middle East is uh, one big graveyard, a wasteland. Yeah. One big war zone. And now we see a war zone also in Ukraine, of course. So yeah, it's really scary shit, man.